ready? I think we're ready. We are ready. Let's go.
Woohoo!
It is once again time, ladies and gentlemen, for your Europe Ed Tech Roundup.
Woohoo! It's
Uh,
Friday.
It's
It's Friday.
Friday.
Happy Friday. Oh my gosh, happy Friday. And it's
It's always good.
sunny here in what would normally be Drury, England.
Welcome to
We have
England.
that here in Germany. What it should be in England is what we have.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Bryan. I am your friendly ETISS now in Europe West. This week, I'm joined by a couple of my good old friends. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, yeah. Kevin Sheely. I'm here in Europe Central, and
And
go ahead,
Chad
Chad.
Jemison down here in EU South, located in Naples, Italy. Sunny Naples, Italy.
Lovely, lovely.
Nice.
Yeah, so guys, I made the trip over the channel. I'm now an islander. I am part of the United Kingdom, which I learned, I didn't really know this. Maybe you guys know this. But when they say the United Kingdom, that of course is England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales. Am I leaving anything out?
I
I
think
think
that's
that's
all of
all.
them. I think that's everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And then you've got Britain, right? Which
Yes.
is like Wales and England, I think. I don't know if that includes Scotland. I'm gonna highly offend tons of people right now trying to like do this on the spot.
Well, you'll have fun. You'll have fun, going around to all those places and
Uh-huh.
figuring it all out, and
Yes.
informing all of us, how it all
How it all
All fits
connects
together.
together.
came to be, and the historical, the kingdoms that were all separate, of course, and eventually um, combined to have one king.
That's right.
And so,
United as
yeah,
we are.
united, which
United.
is where it came from. So anyway, it'll
Well,
be. I'm
it
sure
was a
you'll have
fun
fun.
journey. We left Italy a couple weeks ago and drove up through France, which was rainy and cold and miserable, but fun. We got a chance to see some of the sites in Normandy. If you haven't been to Normandy, see the World War II memorials and
Yeah.
museums and sites that are pretty incredible. And it's just really incredible landscape in general. So I highly recommend that. And then we took our trip through the tunnel, through the Euro tunnel,
Channel.
where we drove our car onto a train, which
Wow.
was pretty crazy. And then you go under the English Channel to emerge to a sunny and beautiful and warm
Don't get
England.
used to that. Yeah. Don't think that's normal.
And I
Believe
gotta
me,
say, it is sunny today. I
it's
don't know what
crazy.
is going on. I'm getting highly misled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thought it was just going to be gray. Although I
It-
did have to scrape this morning. That was the first time I've had to scrape the car in a long time, I gotta
Yeah.
say.
From Italy. Yeah.
yeah, well, I've gotten all the rain down here in supposed to be sunny Naples, I was told. It's
Ah,
been raining like every day for like the past 2 weeks,
oh
so
my gosh.
you must have sent it all down here to us.
And you're getting settled in, Chad.
Getting
You've been
settled.
in the saddle there for a little bit.
I have been here, I think it's a month now. I think we've hit the 1 month mark.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get settled. Don't have a house yet, but that's DODEA and PCS time. Trying to find the house is always the fun part.
Yeah, and soon we'll have Janine Lamar is coming from Japan, so she'll come here to
Awesome.
Europe Central to Kaiserslautern. She's arriving on the 13th of December, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yay!
So Janine's going to be joining you there, Kevin,
Right,
in
right.
the central.
Yep, in Central District.
And
Yep.
so where is she going to be is related to you?
Well, same office,
Oh,
right next to me.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
We'll be sharing an office. Yeah.
And you're
So
at the Cape Con Air Base? Is that how
yeah,
that works?
Capon. It's Vogaway, kind of the complex there. So we're on the same kind of small installation where the Kaiserslautern High School, the future Kaiserslautern Middle School, and Kaiserslautern Elementary School are all located. So yeah,
Okay.
it's and
Fantastic.
then you have Ramstein that's not very far away. So this is the big hub But in our district, the nice thing is that we can get to all our schools in a
That is
day.
nice.
So that's why we're based together.
And you guys will have some plan. Like I know I've been talking with Amanda. I mean, for us, we have this kind of geographic separation where
Yeah.
she has schools in Belgium and Netherlands and Northern Germany, and then I have schools here in the UK.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure how, we talked about having elementary, middle, or
Uh-huh.
elementary, secondary split, but now I'm thinking about it, maybe we'll just both do, all of it because we
Oh,
all have strengths and weaknesses,
good
and
point.
so maybe we'll do it all of it, do the elementary and the secondary, and then just kind of separate based on who can provide the support when,
Okay.
because people are out and things like that, and so I personally don't mind that, that we
Okay.
just have two people doing the same thing, but being able to go to more places and provide twice the amount of service. So we'll see.
And Chad, I left you all by yourself down there.
I know. I got the whole area right now. On
Gee,
my
thanks.
first month
Yeah.
of district DT.
Surprise.
Uh,
Luckily,
Oh
I've been
my
around
gosh.
for a while and at least know most of the players, so it's not been too bad.
are
Everybody's
At
you
been
least
going to
really
get
great.
to travel? Are they going to send you anywhere anytime soon?
We actually just put in this week for hopefully traveling in the second semester. So I've put out to all the schools in Italy, Turkey, and Bahrain, trying to get out. So we'll see. We're waiting for approval to get that. So hopefully this spring I'll be able to get out to all the schools at least once during the springtime. I do need to get my Turkish visa, so that's
It is
top
tricky.
top of the priority.
So those schools look for Chad headed your way soon,
Yes.
and Central Schools look for more support from Janine with Kevin. And I have had the opportunity I went to visit Lake and Heath Elementary, the Liberty Intermediate School. It's my first experience with an intermediate school. They've got a fourth and fifth grade over there. And then Lake and Heath High School, I was invited to their teacher, what do you call their faculty meeting, and that was nice to be part of that. And then I'm headed to Alconbury on Monday. So getting out there. Oddly, I have not been to the two schools that are within walking distance of the office here, so I got to get over there sometime soon. So yes, our numbers are increasing, and we are out there and here to support all of you um, with technology integration. All right, let's get to the news and updates. Other day, I was in a fourth grade classroom and there was a kid who could not get connected to the wireless. I think maybe he was just kind of clicking around, having a fun time, just seeing what he could do. Um, but he was trying to connect to what we've used to, or what we've been used to using, which is the Chromebook OB, which is the original kind of wireless network for Chromebooks. And then there's the Dodia wireless, but there was a new one called the DOCHET or the DOCHET.
Doche. As I was
If
told,
you're fancy,
Doche.
if you're fancy, it's the Doche,
It's the Target of wireless.
the Target of wireless. Um, so then I started poking around in some other kids' Chromebooks and noticed that they too were connected to the Doche, and was curious to see and surprised to see this new wireless network was available to them. But lo and behold, when we clicked on that Doche wireless,
It's
student
not,
was
at
able
least
to
it's
connect
not
and log
douche,
in.
right?
I was
Oh.
talking to IT yesterday and learning about. I mean, I had seen it at the school level when I was at Rhoda, and saw the Doche wireless, and my IT, service tech guy was saying that, yeah, that's the new wireless. So what's supposed to happen, what I was told, is that when a Chromebook is like re-imaged or reset, that it will open up on Chrome OB on the first shot and it gets a certificate. This is what he told me happens. The Chromebook will get a certificate that allows it to connect to the Doche network. And then once it connects to that, it remains on that and it's supposed to remain on that. And only the only the Chromebooks are supposed to have access to this dossier. So um, just an FYI that that's the one that the Chromebook should be on if they're not.
So yes, if you have a student who comes to you and says, I can't connect to the network, I can't get on the wireless, double check which wireless they're trying to connect to and choose the now very sophisticated DOCHET network. All right, so that was new in wireless world. Um, Switching now to a topic that I think has been discussed quite a bit in our communities. I think there's been some books, or a book in particular, that has circulated through the community regarding screen time and the amount of screen time that students are exposed to, that our students in our schools and adults for that matter. This was especially a topic during remote learning when we were in COVID times, a consideration for the amount of time students were sitting in front of screens. And so there was a report put out called the Blaschke Report. This is kind of part of a organization that some of the ETISSs and people within our agency are part of called COSIN. And they did some research and study about screen time and presented a report that gives essentially a redefinition to that term.
Yeah,
So
I think
screen time can be a very broad term applied to I think what most people think of is like cell phones, and people kind of just staring at their screens. So I think in my opinion, it tends to have a negative view. But what this report is trying to do is redefine that a bit.
yeah.
Right, and I think that with the definition of screen time, I think a lot of we think of like a time period, like there's a set
Yes.
time that you should be on a screen. When this report kind of redefines that and kind of lets us know that it's not necessarily a time limit, it's what you are doing during that screen time. What are you checking TikTok reels, or
Yes.
sending a text to your friend, or playing Mario Kart? Those are a different definition from creating and building a website than coding something on your computer. So there, I think it's a looking at it from a different perspective. And instead of looking at a specific time, you're looking at what are you doing during that time when you're looking at a screen.
Right. It's tricky because they put the word time in there
Right.
and
Yeah.
they're like screen time. So they're like, oh, all time is bad, or
No.
if I control the amount of time, I'm making good choices. But it's really more the definition of that time. And so Kevin, you were able to kind of review the report, and it sort of broke it down into three different
Right.
areas.
Right. Yeah. So it talks about, smartphones and social media. Certainly that's, part of screen time, especially for our, middle school, high school students,
Yeah.
even upper elementary. Then you have the ed tech time. That's kind of the time in school. And then, of course, you have screen based entertainment, is the third broad category. And so we've had, some parents that have been very vocal, and I mean all the way up to Dodia HQ, and
Mm-hmm.
complaining about screen time, just number of hours.
Yeah.
So really what we need to focus on is what students are doing when they are in front of a screen. And so that is it, what type of quality is that they're spending? If they're just sitting there receiving, watching watching even educational
Yeah.
videos,
Just
but for a
consuming.
whole full for a whole hour just watching a video,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably not very, on the in terms of the skill development and actually cognitive load that's being placed on them is very low. They're just, receiving. And so I think we need to be cognizant of what students are doing when they're doing that educational technology. What
Yeah.
is the cognitive load? What are they? The more they're creating something, or they're analyzing, evaluating those higher level thinking skills, that's what we really want them to be doing when they are in front of a screen. So,
Right.
applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating. And some of our tools really lend themselves to that, like our Lumio, our Seesaw, our Adobe Suite, Adobe
Yeah.
Creative Cloud Express, Adobe Express. A lot of that's all about creating and analyzing and evaluating and applying, and so that's really what we want to focus on.
Yeah, and Brian found that really great kind of continuum that I hope he's going to put a link to in the description of this podcast on.
Yes.
But that was a really good visual of kind of like, it would be a good thing for teachers to kind of see, and as they're planning their lessons in their class, to kind of look at that and kind of reflect on that, on what I guess screen time is in their classroom, kind of
Yes.
looking at, and that connection to the Bloom's taxonomy on that same kind of graphic was a really good connection. I think that's a really powerful way to kind of relook at, and I think it will help with conversations too with parents.
Yep.
When parents write them and kind of say, my child's saying they're on the computer, during the whole class. Well, what are they doing on that
Right.
Chromebook? What are
Right.
if they're spending time creating, evaluating, and analyzing, like Kevin was saying, that's a different definition of screen time than just passively, watching a video.
Yeah, so the continuum supports a concept that I think we have been preaching and supporting in tech talks and in our conversations with teachers and administrators, which is moving, particularly learning, so the educational technology portion of screen time, trying to move things from passive to active learning. So the continuum gives some good examples. So for instance, like playing Candy Crush, that would be an example of a very passive activity done on a phone. But then in school with educational technology, students might have the opportunity to code their own games. Um, and so through CTE classes, through other classes, opportunities that students have, that would be an example is if they're spending screen time coding something, or um, another example it gives is like watching a movie on a television screen and then going to all the way the active side would be then having a study group around what they watched or the themes in that movie. Or if you're browsing Facebook on one end, on the other end, you're actually creating a website. So these are the kinds of things that redefining screen time means not only like what is the kind of medium? So are you just scrolling on your phone looking at social media? Are you just watching television or playing video games? Or are you doing education things on your Chromebook, which at times can be passive because you might be watching a video, but oftentimes you're reading content, you're annotating, you're writing things, you're looking at data and analyzing and doing. Obviously, math is a huge component in our secondary and primary grades. So I think the big takeaway from this report is one, just sort of knowing the different formats for screen time, and then two, what are you actually doing with that screen time? And just as educators thinking about how can we potentially move from passive activities to active activities. And as Kevin was stating, we have several platforms that can take passive content like a slideshow and turn it into active learning through Lumio Pear Deck, or take a passive activity like maybe just adding pictures to a slideshow for a presentation to animating that content, creating video content, creating audio content, like the Ed Tech Roundup podcast. And
Yeah, and I would say also, just like in classrooms, you could have students always just working on a worksheet, like independently, doing a worksheet. You
uh-huh.
can do that same thing in technology. You can put a worksheet in there, they can fill it out,
Mm-hmm.
but that's again a very not the cognitive load is much lower. Whereas if you have them having to, have student discourse, having to explain their thinking, having to do something with the information, having to, create a product that shows what they know. those kinds of activities, whether it's technology or not, will be much more beneficial in terms of student learning than just doing, these worksheets. And so, I mean, there's corollaries. So what we're saying is we really need to think when we're using technology, what are what added benefit is it having for students? What is the
How
uh,
is it enhancing
yeah,
things? How is it
enhancing,
engaging
right?
students? How is it extending their learning?
Yes.
The
So
old triple E's.
exactly, exactly. Anyway,
And then I think the one last little bit I would just say that is the word balance. It is the report does have the word balance in it. So, yes, go outside and run around and have some fresh air as well.
absolutely.
Like
Yep.
balancing screen time with reading physical books, writing on physical paper, running around, talking to your friends face to face, all these things balanced with screens. We certainly are not suggesting that screens are the end all be all um, center of education. We actually obviously have lots of other ways for students to learn and socially in their environment with
Yeah.
each other. So
And that includes both at school and at home. At
absolutely,
home, we need balance. We need to
absolutely.
put down
Absolutely.
the cell phones and put them away. And it's crazy. I
All
mean,
right, Grandpa. Now you're talking too much.
you know me, but I do think I think what, yeah, you don't see as many kids outside.
If they could
Anyway, it is what
only
it
bring
is.
back the experiential learning thing that they used to have, that I
Yeah.
know that you were very involved with back in the
Oh yeah,
day.
absolutely, yes. So,
We should
Project Bold.
we
Oh
should
yeah,
Yeah,
make
we
that
used to
our
Project
have
goal.
Outward.
Bold.
We used to have Outward Bound. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Outward
you
Uh,
wouldn't
Bound.
that
I w-
for 3 weeks you wouldn't have your cell phone. Is
yep,
basically what it would
I
translate
loved it.
today.
I
And
loved
I
Yeah,
think
Outward Bound.
one of the requirements is you had to scrape your knee and have at least 3 or 4 cuts on your body before
Yes,
you
absolutely.
did.
and
Yeah,
jump in the ice bath,
there you go.
the
Yeah,
ice
the
pond that was out
run and
there.
dip. Yep. It was run and dip even in the middle of winter. You were
Yes,
running in the snow and jumping in the. You had to break the ice before
yep,
you could jump in.
All
experienced
right.
that a few times.
Look at how much fun it is, folks. They're still remembering it. So get out there and jump into a pond.
Yes.
Well,
Um,
and we have a lot of student activities that
yes, we do.
engage students, and those do have sometimes they will have screen. I think Stemposium is this next week.
Stemposium's coming up.
It is.
Yeah, and
Creative
so
Connections
yeah,
in January. We got tons of music.
so so those types of activities are just super beneficial. Is really
absolutely.
and those are the activities that students will remember their whole
Yes,
lives.
they will.
So
Very good.
yeah.
All right. So we had some excellent tech talks this week. So let's get to the tech talk recap.
Sounds good. Yeah. So we had on Tuesday, took a look at templates and activities that are already available for teachers to start with. We looked at Lumio, which is one of our um, just really flexible resources. We also looked at Adobe Express, and we looked at Pear Deck. And really diving into already created resources so that you don't have to start from scratch. And so went over a couple things, and then we had some time to just for educators to discover that. But the recordings are on the website. There's also the notes, so you can take a look at that. And there's some great time savers in there.
Yep. And then on Thursday, we dived a little bit deeper into Adobe Express and looked at animating characters, so like creating your own character and doing a voiceover, adding your voice to it. And what it would do is take your voice, animate a character, and then we could use that into a variety of other projects that students might want to do. One thing that we really liked about this particular um, project is that it could be you could use this in any class setting, and we gave the example of like maybe an elementary school, a student's kind of shy, they don't want to record themselves or present themselves in front of a class. Even in middle school this happens, so sometimes I would give this project idea to students to present something that they don't have to do it in front of the class, but they could create a character and then import it into other projects like in WeVideo or Google Vids. that they could create multiple um, projects together and multiple characters to present a topic. It could be social studies describing an event, a historical event. It could be a language arts giving a book, kind of a traditional book report, or even in math explaining how to solve a particular problem, or in science they might have an experiment that they might have images of that they want to go through and explain the process that they went in a science experiment. So lots of opportunity there to be creative for students, but also have a different way that students could present kind of what they know in the classroom.
Excellent. Yes, excellent examples of platforms that have pre-made templates that can get you up and running. And then again, ways of adding engagement and active learning. And, with any of those things, it can be intimidating to get started, but it's something that the more you practice with it and the more you expose students to it, the more they'll get used to it and have it as an option, because
And I
another great way to add engagement in your lessons is giving students choice on how they would present their learning, and teaching them something like Adobe Express and the fact that it has animation in it and giving that to them as a choice, is a great way to kind of give them some agency and some buy-in to your projects.
And I would say this, right now in December, that week before winter break,
Yes.
students get a little squirrely. This is a
Mm-hmm.
great time to try some of these things out.
Good
Is
point.
to
Yes,
because
yes.
they're really engaging, and like the animation one. I mean, I know elementary is focusing a lot on writing. In fact, probably K-12 is focusing on writing
Yeah.
as a skill. And so, one thing you can do is as students have to create polished writing. One of the rewards sort of would be that they convert their polished writing into a character reading their writing, and so
Ah, yes.
so again, it's just and then there's a reason for them to have polished writing because they're going to have this animated character share it. Anyway,
Yeah, no, absolutely, because I would say the teaching on this from the teacher perspective is very minimal. I think just knowing where to put the to where to put the content in, or just pointing the kid to it. Like I had a student that was just absolutely, it was in a class, it was a project-based class, and she was terrified to present in front of the class, like
Mm.
because it was part of the part of the class, part of the subject. So I just pointed her to this animation piece in Adobe, and I very minimal teaching. I didn't have to show her very much. She clicked, recorded herself, and she was running with it and had multiple characters, multiple scenes, and created a whole entire project presentation using the animation and very minimal coaching from me. I just had to show her where to find it, and she took off with it.
And you probably didn't have to remind her to like finish her project
Not
or
at all. She
yeah.
worked hours on that by herself, and just because she just didn't want to, she was just really, shy of being in front of the class. But she had great work. She had great things to present. This was just another way for her to present her project without having to stand in front of the class. So just gave her a different avenue.
Very good. And all those recordings, of course, can be found on the Tech Talk 7 website, which we have linked on our channels, and we can link again here in the description of the podcast for this week. So please be sure to check those out, and look out for the emails when they come out announcing Tech Talks on every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, fellas, let's wrap it up with a little glitters and glitches.
where's Amanda? Oh, she's not here today.
Well, before we get to Amanda, we have to hear one glitter. I think,
Oh
Kevin,
yeah,
you were going to
actually,
share a
uh,
glitter with Lumio.
yeah, and one thing about the products that we do have, many of them, is they come out with updates all the time and new
Yes.
features, and sometimes we don't keep up, And so I was doing some professional learning with Lumio, with Tech Talks, and also with in some of with teachers in classrooms. And one of the newest features is Lumio always had the ability for teachers to add directions to different activities and different slides that you do in Lumio. Teachers
Right.
could add audio directions, But one of the things that was missing was the ability for students to add their voice, add their audio recordings to projects. Well, no longer. Now students can actually, one of the options that they have in their toolbar when they're assigned a Lumio activity to complete, one of their options is to add an audio recording up to 5 minutes long. So
Wow.
you can have, so you can have students describe their work. They can explain how they did a problem. They can reflect on it. They can all those kinds of things that we used to we had the ability to do in other tools like Seesaw at the elementary school level
Mm-hmm.
and Wixie at the elementary school level. But
Mm-hmm.
high school, it's always been kind of problematic. I mean, you could do it in Google Vids and then add it to a Google slide, and there's some things around. But this is just all in one, and
Yeah.
it's super easy. So you can add that reflection piece, which is super important for students to talk about their learning.
Fantastic.
So
Excellent.
this
So
is
check
great.
that out in
Yep.
Lumio. That is certainly a cool addition to that. So if you're, again, Lumio is a great platform for turning a slide deck into an active learning piece, and it can give students each their own copy of kind of what we were talking before. If you needed them to do a worksheet like activity, you can turn that into a learning activity in Lumio for each student, and now they can actually explain what they're doing, add to the discourse,
Yeah, and
and
actually you can do it both the individual and with Lumio you can have small groups, so you can do it in groups. And then
right.
you can also have the full class. So you have three different ways that you can have students working. They can do it individually, they can do it in small groups, they can do it as a whole class kind of activity together. So
Wow.
pretty
So
exciting.
the whole class could record an audio at the
You
same
can
time.
add those, yeah. So like on a, yes. So if you had the whiteboard, you could have students adding audio,
Okay.
their audio recordings to that. Yes.
Wow. I have to check that out. That sounds
Yeah.
fun.
Anyway,
All right, and then I think we had one glitch
Just
this
a little,
week.
just a little
just
glitch,
a little one.
little one.
No
So
one noticed, I'm sure,
yes,
right?
yeah, I'm sure everybody noticed. Even the students were noticing. Yeah. So across Europe, we had some wireless, issues. Decided to take a little vacation. The little gremlins decided to get in there and use it as a little playground, and a lot of connectivity problems. I do.
For
Well,
pros.
she wanted to emphasize that we had some real issues with wireless, but hopefully everything is back to normal. We heard from IT this morning that we seem to be back to normal. I still getting a few reports here and there of some wireless connectivity, but hopefully that we can put that behind us. But this is a good reminder, whenever
Yeah.
we have those tech issues, have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Have
Always,
something ready to
yeah.
go just in case, because we
Yeah.
know it happens all the time. The best lessons, don't always quite work out the way we want them to, but
Very
Yeah.
true. Very true. To have
Yeah.
that
It's
backup
hard.
ready. Yes, great job, Amanda. I mean, Chad.
I try.
Hopefully that will be the last glitch we have for
Yes.
this last time. Um, I
Huh?
think that's it, fellas. We did
I think
it.
it's
We did
Once
it.
yeah.
again, we gave you a roundup of activities this week. So we hope you're having fun with technology. Oh, wait. We
What?
Yes.
want everyone to remember
To
to have
have
fun
fun
with
with
technology.
technology.
Or as Amanda would say, tech to you later.
Tech-
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.